Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm here for a list video, and I'm going to be listing off my list of best metal-rock albums of 2005. So I'm going to have some metal albums in this list and maybe a couple or so rock albums in the list. It's mainly going to be metal albums, but I am going to have some rock albums in here as well, or hard rock, because some of these bands people would say they're hard rock, some people would say they're metal. So you guys get the idea of why I'm titling it the way I am. So yeah guys, with that being said though, let's go and get started. Okay, so the first album in the list is going to be All That Remains by Fozzy. Of course, for those that are professional wrestlers, they already know that Chris Jericho is the lead vocalist of Fozzy. This band formed, I think, in the year 1999, and yeah, I think this is their third album, Fozzy's third album, because they had a self-titled album and then they had a Happenstance era album. So yeah, they've put out some really good albums in the 2000s, including the album All That Remains, and to be honest, I think this is probably their best album from the 2000s era. So yeah, All That Remains by Fozzy, definitely good stuff here. Got songs like the title track, also the song Enemy was really good. They even have a song on this album with rapper Bone Crusher, so that's pretty cool. The song The Test, I'm not the biggest fan of it because the chorus is kind of repetitive, if you guys know what I mean. But even that song was still decent for what it was. So yeah, All That Remains by Fozzy has to make this list because it's a really good album. Not my favorite from the band Fozzy, but I still think it is a good album though, for sure. So yeah, All That Remains by Fozzy makes this list. Okay, the next album in the list, some of you guys may not even be familiar with this band because they are a pretty underrated band, especially in the metal and rock community. And the band is called Fireball Ministry, and today we're going to be talking about their album, Their Rock Is Not Our Rock. So yeah, this is the second album that's going to be in this list. Their Rock Is Not Our Rock by the band Fireball Ministry. They're more towards like stoner metal or biker metal, if you guys are fans of those two subgenres of metal, which I'm not the biggest fans of those subgenres, but I do like this album though from the band Fireball Ministry. Really good stuff. So yeah, if you guys like those subgenres, then this album is right for you. You got some songs on it like The Broken, of course the song In the End, and some others. So yeah, Their Rock Is Not Our Rock by Fireball Ministry. Definitely really good stuff here, and like I said before I introduced this album in this list, I said this band is underrated, but it's true though. I meant to say they are really underrated when it comes to metal and rock music. So yeah, the second album on the list though is Their Rock Is Not Our Rock by the band Fireball Ministry. Okay, album 3 in the list is going to be All the Right Reasons by Nickelback. I know I'm going to get some haters on here hating on me because I have a band on here that they hate, but it's alright. You guys don't have to like that I have Nickelback in this list, but please respect my opinion, because I know a lot of people that don't like Nickelback. Sometimes they can be kind of on the toxic side of stuff if you like a band that they don't like. I'm not talking about people that I'm friends with on Discord or YouTube or anything like that. I'm just talking about other people in general that I don't know on YouTube, of course. So yeah, All the Right Reasons though by Nickelback. I think it's a good album. Yes, it's probably Nickelback's most hated album, especially of the 2000s era. But I don't care though, because I still think it's a good album. It's my second favorite Nickelback album. My favorite being, of course, 2001's Silver Side Up. But yeah, All the Right Reasons though. Yes, it's not as heavy as their first several albums, but it still is a good album though. It brought them more success in the mid to late 2000s. So yeah, it's got some of the most popular songs like, of course, Rockstar, Saving Me, Far Away, of course the tribute song to Dimebag Darrell, which was called Side of a Bullet. I really like that one. That's a great song on this album. So yeah, All the Right Reasons by Nickelback had to make the list. Definitely a great album for sure. Okay, next album in the list is going to be One Nation Underground by the band El Nino. Yeah, man, this is one of their heaviest albums. If you guys aren't too familiar with El Nino, then I definitely recommend this band because they're really, really good. Yes, their current vocalist is not the original vocalist because Christian, their lead singer, and like maybe 2 or 3 other members of El Nino ended up leaving the band like a year or so ago, but they did form a new band, so that's pretty cool. But yeah, One Nation Underground by El Nino. If you're a fan of like heavy metal, new metal, groove metal and stuff like that, then El Nino is a band for you. Well, they're more of like Latin metal or new metal, but you guys get the idea here, I hope. But yeah, One Nation Underground though by El Nino, definitely a great album. I wouldn't say it's their best album out of everything I've heard from the band so far, but I still like the album though because it's really good. And while mentioning this album as well, it's one of their heaviest albums, if I didn't already say that. But yeah, One Nation Underground by El Nino, definitely a heavy and strong album from them. So yeah, if you're a fan of new metal and Latin metal, like I said, definitely check out this band and of course this album. So yeah, One Nation Underground by El Nino easily makes this list. Such a good and heavy album. Okay, next album on the list may not come as a surprise to you guys because it is from one of the most legendary metal bands of all time, especially with the classic metal and all that. But yeah, the next album on the list is going to be Angel of Retribution by Judas Priest. Like I just said, this may not come as a shock to lots of you guys, especially the metal fan base, you know. But yeah, Angel of Retribution by Judas Priest. I think it was their first album with original vocalist Rob Halford since like Painkiller in 1990, I believe. So definitely a long time without him being in the band. But of course, he's the best vocalist the band ever had, at least if you ask me, Rob Halford. He's called the Metal God for a reason, people. So yeah, definitely a great comeback album. Not just for Rob Halford, but for the band in general, because albums before this, like Demolition, for example, that album was horrible, but I'm glad they can bounce back. I'm glad that they did bounce back, though, with 2005's Angel of Retribution, because it's such a good album, and I think it'd be their best album of the 2000s era. So, yeah, Angel of Retribution by Judas Priest. Definitely a fantastic album. Next album on the list is going to be Ascendancy by Trivium. Of course, this is a 2000s metalcore classic. Easily one of Trivium's heaviest albums, one of their best albums as well. This would be my top 3 for Trivium. Probably at like number 3, right behind The Sin and the Sentence, and of course their album Shogun. That would be my top 3 for Trivium albums. But we're not ranking albums here. I just wanted to tell you guys which order my top 3 would be in, since I mentioned their album Ascendancy. But yeah, man, this is such a great album. Like I said again, one of Trivium's best. Lots of great songs. So yeah, definitely got to check out this album if you're a fan of metalcore, because it's one of the best metalcore albums of all time, if you ask me. Definitely a fantastic album. So yeah, Ascendancy by Trivium easily makes this list. Okay, next album in the list is going to be Lost and Found by Mudvayne. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of this album, to be honest, but I still think it's a good album for what it is. Some people say it's one of their best, some people say it is their best, but I don't agree with that at all when they say it's their best album. But I still think it's a pretty solid album for what it is. Sure, it's a good album, but I don't think it's one of their best. It's got some good songs, though, like Determined, Happy, and some others. I can't remember all of the song names off the top of my head right now, but this is still a good Mudvayne album called Lost and Found, of course, released in the year 2005. So yeah, Lost and Found, still a really good album from Mudvayne. So yeah, I had to include it on here though, regardless of that. Okay, the next 2 albums, guys, in this list are actually going to be from the same band, and the band, of course, is System of a Down, and they did release 2 albums in 2005. One was called Mesmerize, another was called Hypnotize. So yeah, Mesmerize, pretty good album. I haven't heard it all in full, to be honest. Same with Hypnotize, so those are 2 albums of theirs that I definitely gotta hear in full. So yeah, Mesmerize and then Hypnotize by System of a Down. Definitely good stuff though for what I heard from both albums. So yeah, both albums had to be in the list. Mesmerize and Hypnotize by System of a Down. And mentioning System of a Down, after 2005, they never released another studio album ever again because of some conflict between band members, I believe. So, yeah, still good albums here though, so both of them had to make the list. Next album in the list is going to be City of Evil by Avenged Sevenfold. A lot of people say this is their favorite album from Avenged Sevenfold, which I can definitely understand it, but it's not my favorite, of course. My favorite album from Avenged Sevenfold, of course, would be 2010's Nightmare, but still, City of Evil from 2005 is a really good album. And with Avenged Sevenfold's first two albums, they were metalcore, and then starting with 2005's album City of Evil, they went more towards the mainstream and heavy music. So, I mean, their metalcore stuff was heavy, of course, since metalcore is pretty heavy stuff with breakdowns and stuff. But what I'm meaning to say for City of Evil, though, it's a departure from their metalcore stuff, and they never went back to any metalcore stuff really ever since 2005's City of Evil. But regardless of it not being my favorite album from A7X, I still think it is a very, very good, strong album. So yeah, I had to put it on here. Next album on the list is Shadows Are Security. This is from the band As I Lay Dying. Of course, one of the best metalcore bands of all time, if you ask me, by far. So yeah, Shadows Are Security. I think this album was released on my birthday, June 14th, 2005. Of course, I would have been about 8 years old that day, because now I'm 24. Fast forward to 2021, I'm 24, so it's pretty cool that a actual album that I like came out on my birthday a long time ago. So yeah, about 16 years ago that album came out. Well, a little over 16 years, but you guys know what I mean. So yeah, I would have been 8 in 2005 since I was born in 1997. I would have been about 8 in 2005 when Shadows Are Security by As I Lay Dying came out. I just wanted to let y'all know that for those that didn't know. But yeah, it's pretty cool that an album came out on my birthday. So yeah, Shadows Are Security, definitely one of their best albums. I would say it's in my top 3 for As I Lay Dying. So yeah, man, definitely a great album. Okay, next album in the list. Now, to be honest with you guys, I haven't heard every single track on this album, but the album is Start a War by Static X. Like I just said, I haven't really heard every single song from this album, but I do really, really like the title track, Start a War. Yes, it's a shorter song from them, but I still really, really like it, and it's growing to become one of my favorites from the band in general. But yeah, most importantly, I gotta check out more songs from this album when I get the chance. And another thing, definitely rest in peace to their original vocalist, Wayne Static. I know he's been deceased for about 7 or so years now, but he's definitely missed, and he will forever be missed. So yeah, Start a War by Static X. Definitely some really good industrial metal here. Okay, next album on the list is going to be The Fury of Our Maker's Hand. This is by the band Devil Driver. For those that are familiar with my content, you guys already know that I'm a big fan of Devil Driver. They're more like melodic death metal and groove metal, so they pretty much mix both genres in their music, so that's pretty cool. And I heard a lot of people saying this was a really good album, which I totally agree with that, because I've heard some songs off of it. Not the full album, but I've heard some songs off of it though, and I've been impressed with everything I've heard from this album so far, so I easily had to put it on here. Definitely a great album from Devil Driver. Okay, next album in the list is going to be Doomsday Machine. This is by the melodic death metal band Arch Enemy. So yeah, definitely a really great mellow death band here if you ask me. Sure, this band isn't for everyone, but I totally respect your opinion, as long as you respect my opinion that I like them. So yeah, Doomsday Machine, really good album here. One of their best albums in general. And to be honest, I think it's like the only full album I've heard in full from this band, since it's their only album that I own on CD currently. But I have heard other stuff from them, from their other albums, of course, and I've liked it, what I've heard from them from their other albums. But yeah, Doomsday Machine, definitely a really good album from Arch Enemy. So yeah, definitely really good stuff here, so I had to put it on the list. Great album, so check it out if you're a fan of melodic death metal. Okay, next album on the list. Now, this is easily my least favorite album from this band. I already said it before, and I'll say it again. Transgression by Fear Factory is the album that we're talking about now. Of course, I just said it's my least favorite from the band, because it is. I don't think it's a terrible album by any means, but I'll tell y'all why it's my least favorite. And the only reason this is my least favorite Fear Factory album is because the production was just very, very weak. Sure, Raymond Herrera, I mean, sure, Raymond Herrera had some pretty good drumming on this album, but the production-wise, it's just not very good. And another thing people complain with when this album, another thing people complain a lot with this Fear Factory album, Transgression, is the vocals by Burton C. Bell. But yeah, the vocals, they're not too good, but it still has some good moments of the album, like the title track, one of my favorite songs from Fear Factory, definitely a great song there. They have a cover on here called Millennium, which is original by the band Killing Joke, great cover, and a few other good songs. So yeah, despite not being one of their best albums and my least favorite from Fear Factory, I still think it's a good album for what it is, and it had to be on here, since I like Fear Factory. Okay, next album on the list is Are You Dead Yet? This is from melodic death metal band Children of Bodom, and they did recently lose their vocalist, Alexei, so definitely rest in peace to him. He's definitely missed. One of the best to ever pick up a guitar, and of course, one of the best in melodic death metal, if you ask me. Some people do not like Children of Bodom, but I totally respect your opinion, of course, but please don't disrespect Alexei, because he's definitely deceased, and I just don't think it's right when people disrespect the dead, of course, because that doesn't fly with me. So, yeah, you don't have to like the band, but to disrespect their lead vocalist, it's not going to work with me. So, please don't do that, whatever you do, I beg you, because it's definitely not nice to say disrespectful and bad stuff about the dead because they cannot defend themselves. But yeah, of course, there's a lot of people who still do it, even though it's wrong. But yeah, still good album though. I know I went off topic when I talked about this band. I just wanted to bring that up. But yeah, Are You Dead Yet? I really like this album from Children of Bodom, and it's one of my favorites from the band so far. I think it only has like, 8 or 9 songs on it. Yes, it's a shorter album, but I still like it. So yeah, it had to be on here. Great stuff. Okay, next album on the list. Now we're finally talking about some rock music. And the album is the album Have a Nice Day by Bon Jovi. Yes, not one of their better albums. One of my least favorites from the band so far. Of course, I'm a big fan of Bon Jovi. I've been a fan of them since, I want to say, around 2009. Somewhere around there. And I've been a fan ever since. But yeah, Have a Nice Day. No, not one of their best albums, of course, but it's still a good album for what it is. You got songs like the title track, Have a Nice Day. Another song on there, Who Says You Can't Go Home. 2 versions of the song appear on that same album, and some other songs. So yeah, Have a Nice Day by Bon Jovi. Still good album though for what it is, so it had to be on here. Okay, next album in the list is going to be 10,000 Fists by Disturbed. You guys know me by now. This is my favorite Disturbed album. I love it. Lots of great songs, like the title track, of course, Stricken, one of my favorite Disturbed songs of all time. DFI, even the cover, Land of Confusion, was really good. And some others. So yeah, 10,000 Fists, definitely one of my favorite metal albums of 2005. That's why it's on here. Okay, next album on the list is a thrash metal album. And it, of course, is by the band Exodus and their album Shovel-Headed Kill Machine. This was one of their few albums with vocalist Rob Dukes, replacing their original singer Steve. Well, not original singer Steve, but their second vocalist Steve. But you guys probably know what I meant to say. But yeah, Rob Dukes was on vocals on this Exodus album, and he fucking killed it. I love this album. It's one of my favorite Exodus albums so far from everything I've heard, because to be honest, I haven't went in full detail with every Exodus album, but I still know some of their songs. But yeah, Shovel-Headed Kill Machine, no fucking banger of an album. So of course, if you like thrash metal, then this album's right here for you. So yeah, Shovel-Headed Kill Machine by Exodus, such a flawless album, beginning to end. Great album. Okay, 2 more albums left, guys, and then we'll finally finish off this list. So yeah, the next album in the list is going to be Dark Ages by Soulfly. To be honest, I haven't heard everything from this album, just like with some other albums in this list, of course. But I have liked everything I've heard from this album so far, like the song Babylon, I think this album also has a title track, but be sure to let me guys know because I don't remember if this album had a title track or not, but I think it does. But yeah, Dark Ages by Soulfly, really good album here. So if you're a fan of like groove metal or whatever genre Soulfly is nowadays, because they used to be like new metal with their earlier albums and then they went more like groove metal or something like that, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, Dark Ages, still a good album. Okay, last album on the list is going to be See You on the Other Side by Korn. No, this is not one of Korn's best albums, but they did try something different with this album. It's like more industrial metal instead of their original sound, which was new metal. But yeah, man, I still like See You on the Other Side. No, it's not one of their best albums, but it would be in my top 10 though, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, I thought it was a pretty cool idea for Korn to try something different, and I think it worked pretty well with this album. Some people don't like this album, but I still respect their opinion, of course. So yeah, you got songs like, of course, Coming Undone, the song Politics, and some others. So yeah, Korn, See You on the Other Side. Definitely a solid album here. Not one of their best, of course, but still pretty good for what it is. So yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this list for best metal-rock albums of 2005. And I want to apologize if there was any interference from the background with these bugs and shit like that. Of course, it's summertime. You guys know that bugs love to come out in the summertime. So I definitely hope you guys can understand that. And also, apologize if this video was long. I just had a lot of albums to talk about today. So yeah, y'all, let me know some of y'all's favorite metal and rock albums of 2005. This is my list. I know I probably left out some good albums, but I don't know every single album from bands that I do like in metal. So that's why some of these albums are absent from this list. But I feel like I gave you guys a pretty good list here for this video. So yeah, guys, for real though, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here this time. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.